I said, today is going to be so much fun because it's like 4 of us just hanging out, doing what we do best, and
no lack of conversation.
no, trying to make it an hour or less.
Yeah, or it could be, honestly, we were thinking about making this one a two-parter. So I'm going on vacation next week.
Mm-hmm.
I can divide this into 2 separate episodes, deploy one this week, and then one for next week.
Very cool.
And then it's also, too, like from a branding, marketing standpoint, then it's going out twice. It's getting all like that love twice instead of just one time.
What up, Facebook?
What up, Facebook?
Yeah, behind the scenes. I think we had some fun times behind the scenes last time you guys were here.
Yeah.
We were talking about weight loss and everything, and you're giving me so many compliments and all that. That was great.
Do you want those again?
I always say
compliments.
Oh, wow. No, but you do look good, friend.
Thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations on all that.
Yeah, I'm just happy that I'm staying disciplined. I know that whole word about motivation and discipline is going around. You guys mentioned it on your last podcast. I've heard that a couple weeks ago, and I think that's what it started out, was motivated to lose weight, but then motivation was going to keep me there.
Right.
Because the snack foods and foods that were bad for me kept trying to creep up, and then it was just discipline. And even on the way home from camping recently, we had to stop and get fast food. We stopped at McDonald's. I got a grilled chicken sandwich, and that was it. And that's the only thing I ate. So I was very proud of myself.
That's real good. That's real good. There's a fries in me.
So, on that as well, my trainer, she's like, the best thing you could do is moderation, not deprivation.
Okay.
So if you really, really, really want a piece of chocolate cake, great, eat the cake. But just don't eat the entire cake.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's the tough part.
Like then you eat like the little triangle-shaped piece, not the entire round piece of cake.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like, for example, last night, I was having an Oreo thing. I needed Oreos. So I counted out 6 Oreos and put the rest away, far away.
So we started recording. We might use this as a soft intro. Who knows? I mean, it's just we can. And Lori, will you move a little bit closer? And Corey, will you move a little bit? Not too, you don't have to hunch over or anything like that, but just so you're kind of angled. And so we started recording a little bit. What I was going to say is I've started calorie counting, and I found like that at first was painful because I was probably eating like 3,000 calories a day. So actually tracking that and holding myself responsible was painful. But then now I've gotten used to more around like the 2,000, 1,900 mark. And I'm just like, okay, if I skip mayonnaise on this sandwich, like I get more sandwich, like more other stuff, whether that be lunch meat or something else. So that's doing
By the
okay.
way, avocado is a great substitution for mayonnaise.
Yeah, and it's delicious too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just spread the avocado, hint of salt, you're good to go.
I'm hungry too. We should have eaten before we started recording. Now, so you
Go ahead, kick it off.
So thank you for tuning in to Triangle Cast episode 21. We're really glad to have you with us. I am Jason Juneau.
I'm Corey Jeffries.
And today we have some very special guests, returning guests, Hank Hoffmeyer from Eye Contact.
Hello, everybody.
And Lori Bruns
Hey, everyone.
from Lori Bruns LLC.
That's right.
Did I get that right?
You did.
I wasn't sure if it was Lori Bruns Inc. or Lori Bruns LLC.
LLC.
So today we're going to be talking about a variety of different topics. There is a mysterious webinar that Hank and Lori have been collaborating on.
Not so mysterious anymore.
Not so mysterious anymore. So,
They let the cat out of the bag.
oh, thank goodness! So we're gonna dive a little bit into what you guys are doing. We are going to be catching up with both of you, seeing how your individual businesses are going, as well as everything else. And our sponsor today is the 4-Hour Workweek. There's going to be an affiliate link that is going to be in the show notes. If you're thinking about buying that book, which we've recommended several times.
Absolutely.
It's actually the book that made Corey and I friends when we were like, oh man, 4-Hour Workweek was the best. And so that's right there in the show notes. You can click on that if you're planning on buying it and go through Amazon. It costs you the same, but it helps throw a little bit of money in our pockets.
You'll get a few pennies.
Which we can then, legit, it is a few pennies. But we can then invest that back in the show so we can keep producing content for you. So
Awesome.
I guess we'll kick it off. Lori,
Yes.
how is everything going?
Fantastic.
I didn't expect anything less.
Yeah, doing well.
Okay.
Business is rocking and rolling. I will tell you, I have been down to Fayetteville working with veterans because I am reaching out to serve those who serve us.
Okay.
I went to VetaCon 2017, so that was a great venue to just kind of network with people and let people know about what I do
Mm-hmm.
and how I can serve veterans transitioning from the military to civilian life and potentially entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
You met someone that I started following and look up to, and he's recently released a book. His name's Daniel D. Piazza
Yes.
from Rich 20-something, so a little plug for him. I know he's trying to get on the bestsellers list for his book, so any mention, I know he'd appreciate that.
We'll put it in the
But,
show notes as well.
yeah, he's a great guy on how to get started in business and start your own business. So, he might be somebody that, maybe something can happen here on Triangle Cast down the road.
Yeah,
love
that'd
to
be
get him on.
great.
Yeah, he was fun. We actually had lunch together and just talked about being entrepreneurs and how to rock out our businesses. So it was really cool.
Well, and it sounds like right now you're doing that to help these veterans
Yes.
transition, but there also could potentially be a business in that later on along the line. And I realize that you're doing it right now altruistically,
Yes.
but if you can develop some processes and you really end up, helping these people even more than you planned, there could be, that could be something you end up doing.
Yeah, right now it's, like I said, serving those who serve us is really my mission right now.
Yeah.
Especially the military wives, helping them see that even though they travel a lot and move a lot, they can do businesses and they don't have to be in one location.
Right.
Now that the internet is the place to have businesses, helping them launch that.
That's awesome. That's really great. And also, it gives it, in many cases, can give them something that they enjoy doing.
Exactly.
And I don't want to say a sense of purpose but people, having a spouse in the military makes you more than just for instance, a military wife, right?
Exactly.
There's a lot that comes along with that, especially if there's kids involved and all that
Exactly.
other sort of stuff. But having a revenue generating activity that you can do and look forward to doing.
And it helps them create an identity that they want to let everyone know about.
Yeah.
Not just the military wife, the mom, whatever the case may be. It's also, hey, I run this business too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How about you, Hank? How is your company doing, and how is Eye Contact doing?
I have been very busy, but I'll have it no other way. Have a lot of projects and events coming up. I am going to Miami next week to speak at a conference where it's going to be a bunch of haircutting franchise owners for children. So my marketing team put together a great slide deck for me utilizing children. I'm looking forward to presenting there. And in July, I'm going back to Vegas to the World Ticket Conference to speak about social media. If anyone's heard of ClickZ, it's a great website resource to follow as far as marketing. I'm going to be doing a webinar with them on May 18th. So a lot of things going on as far as marketing and putting myself out there. I recently did a small workshop to some realtors in regards to marketing automation. And the shocking thing, and I've mentioned this a few times, is every time I gauge my audience as far as people utilizing marketing automation, a lot of people do not. So there's another opportunity to get in front of people. And one of the realtors there actually broadcast the presentation on their Facebook Live account. So that was pretty awesome. And I think because of that, I had a realtor reach out to me asking me about my book, which I'm up to 6 copies sold now. Yay. I'm not going to be a bestseller anytime soon, but for something that was a hobby and I just wanted to put out there, I think it's great. It's utilizing social media for small businesses, how to set up your accounts and advertise. Just search for Hank Hoffmeyer on Amazon, you'll find that. But I think that information is helpful to realtors, and a lot of them are starting to see what they can use marketing automation for. So for Eye Contact, we may actually develop some specific industry information for realtors, maybe lawyers, etc., to help them, and that's something I'm interested in, is helping give back and provide value. And on top of that, there's just a lot of other things I have going on as far as recording my Amazon tips, my Echo tips, and that is now on a podcast. I think you guys were an inspiration as far as being on podcast and being on. I said, why shouldn't I have that on iTunes? So I started publishing it on iTunes. And I'm watching the feed, and it's starting to grow a little bit. I don't advertise it much, but I think it's helping some folks, and it is being consumed, which is very beneficial to people and makes me happy.
Where can people find that if they're interested?
So number one, the best thing I like to say is if you do have an Amazon Echo and you go home, you can say, hey Alexa, add Hank's Marketing and Business Tips, and it will automatically be added. Then when you come home, you can say what's in the news, and then I will be able to speak to you and provide you my tips. You can search Amazon for it as well, whether it's in the application or if it's on the website, and you can add my skill from Amazon, and on iTunes it's just Hank's Marketing and Business Tips. I think I have about 30 or 40 recorded sessions so far. They're about a minute or two long, just quick tips on how to do better marketing.
That's really cool. There's so many questions I suddenly have, and some of it is free consulting, so you can feel free to say, nope, no free consulting. So how would we, or if we wanted to, could we have it so people could say, Alexa, play Triangle Cast, and
Right.
it just starts streaming?
So it's something that definitely we could talk about down the road, but really quickly, and you can research this, is you go to the Amazon developers page and you sign up for a skill. Now, don't be daunted because you'll probably be given information that you need to be a developer, you need to do some coding, but for just the recordings, you do not need to do all of that. The basic thing you need is an RSS feed, right? And then what you want to do is have a description and information about what your skill is about. And for this conversation, it's basically audio, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then they test it and then they look at it and make sure it's proper. And for you guys, you may have to provide paperwork saying you own the organization at the company, the branding. And then from there, you're set up and you'd be listed in the marketplace and you would have an image, et cetera, like a little icon. Now, one important thing to note, though, with the Amazon Alexa is if the app is going to take your feed, there's nothing worse than repetitive information, right? So if you come home and say, what's in the news, and I hear episode 1, that's great. I got some value out of that. Then tomorrow, if I come back and say, what's in the news, it'll play episode 2, then it'll play 1, and it'll ongoing and ongoing. So if you have 10 episodes in your feed, it's going to play all 10, but I may have already heard 9 of them, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So that will make people fatigue out and unsubscribe or not listen to you any longer. So I set up a separate feed that only pulls in 1 per day, and I use WordPress, so there's a couple of wonderful plugins that allow me to schedule my posts and then deschedule it or unpublish it afterwards from the feed.
Okay.
It basically changes the category. So if anyone, and you guys, want to talk about how to set that up, I'd be happy to do that. I actually learned that from Greg Heyer from Linking Into Sales. So give him a listen as well. Everyone in the podcast industry loves to help each other out, so that's where I learned that from, was him. And I believe he's doing a good job with what they're doing, and they're starting to get noticed on the internet and throughout the industry. So.
And you are doing a few more speaking engagements now, it sounds like, or is that just par for the course for you?
I did a few last year.
Okay.
This year, I'm not saying I made a hard goal as far as how many events I want to speak at, but I do want to speak more. I do want to become better at speaking, and I want to provide more value back to people that do not know how to use marketing automation, or maybe just use email marketing or social media. So I wrote that one book of how to set up your social media accounts and then how to advertise on those accounts. I want to write a second book. I really liked doing that one. It was more of a tutorial, whereas I want to provide people with valuable information on how to provide great customer service, have people that provide loyalty to them, and then use automation. So Lori and I were brainstorming this morning on a title. At first I thought it was going to be like The Customer Always Remembers and have a picture of an elephant and talk about customer experiences, but then marketing automation is not included. So I think so far what I have is, and maybe people can let me know if it's a great topic or a great book title, is the ABCs of the customer journey: automation, brand loyalty, and customer service. I have so many stories to tell that I think if I put it into a book, it can help people. I had lunch with Matthew Royce last week, and we were brainstorming
about him when he said the ABCs.
Yeah, and he started talking about marketing, and then we started talking about automation, and we said, what's the future of marketing automation? And I gave my thoughts on that, and it's kind of creepy because I think we're going to be able to use emotional data as well as historical, future, and present data to market to people and send targeted information to consumers. Whereas, hey Jason, I know you really started talking about wanting an eye contact mug, and you seem to want it really badly, and people are commenting on that a lot on social media, whether it's Twitter, Facebook. So here's 10% off, why don't you buy it now? Whereas right now, people are afraid of that type of data, but I think down the road, consumers are our brands are going to start using that data in a meaningful manner, pulling an emotional string saying, this is something that you covet, therefore it's on sale now, take advantage of it. And then, hey, because you bought that mug, you're probably going to want that Tivana gift set down the road to try out different teas, because we know that you've been looking at that stuff.
Right.
So I mean, how far away do you think we are from, I mean, given advances in geolocation, you know, for individuals using their phones, given like wearables, and all, you know, you and I both have the Apple Watch on, this thing knows my heart rate. And I've noticed lately there's times when I'm stressed and all of a sudden it pings my wrist and it tells me to breathe.
Right.
That's kind of strange to me. So how far away do you think we might be from my watch knows I'm stressed out, I'm within, you know, 10 meters of that Chili's, and it's
Now, some companies like Apple may not want to share that data with third parties or other providers. There was recently legislation that opened up a lot of data sharing where the ISPs, the backbones of the internet, can actually sell your data off now. So that information is going to be there and available to marketers. Now, if somebody can break and provide maybe a watch, like an Apple Watch, that can measure your levels if you're diabetic, your blood levels, that's right there is going to be a game changer, right? But you mentioned it'll notice that your heart rate went up because you're stressed, but what about if you see a product you like and your heart rate goes up, right? It knows where you are. Stores know where you are in their location, right? So one thing that they could do is set up a kiosk with products on it. And if you have your Wi-Fi turned on, they don't know who you are, but they know you're a person, and they know if you stopped at that kiosk or not, right? They know if you stopped there or if you just passed it. So if 70-80% of the people pass that kiosk, it's probably not worthwhile having that kiosk there because it's valuable real estate. You might want to put something else there, right? So that data is there already, but people don't know about it, and they'd probably be freaked out. And now people are going to start turning off their Wi-Fi after they listen to this episode, right? I'm going to turn this off. Why do you think they provide free Wi-Fi when they say come into Kohl's, we have free Wi-Fi, or come into McDonald's, we have free Wi-Fi?
Right.
They want to track what you're doing, right?
Oh.
And that's what a lot of these apps are doing. And look at these apps like Slice and Boomerang that are add-ins to your email and say, hey, we'll provide you real-time tracking for the package that you just purchased. Just sign up for our app. Or Boomerang integrates into Gmail and allows you to say, do not want to read this email now, but I want to read it now, or send it back to me, right? But they're taking that data and selling it. There's actually some recent information in the news where I might get this reversed, but I think it was Uber bought Lyft's data information. Like, what is Lyft doing? And they're using that competitively. So by knowing that, you may not want to share that information or sign up for those services. So that data is already there, but it's using it in a way that does not freak people out, and that it's useful, and it makes you feel like you're getting information. It makes you want to make that purchase, pulling on those emotional strings. So I think emotional marketing is the wave of the future.
I'm even picturing that being used on like dating applications, right? So like all of a sudden, like someone's heart rate goes up when they encounter somebody else that's subscribed to Match.com or whatever, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, look, you know, here's this person's Facebook link, or here's their social, or that kind of thing.
See, but they'll get it wrong because there's no human interaction. Maybe it's somebody's, third ex-husband, and their heart rate went up because they hate them so much.
That's a good point. So then that's a different app. It's maybe like a Hitman subscription service all of a sudden, where hey, well, you notice that this person's driving you nuts. Yeah.
Stalker.
Yeah. Yeah.
But good try.
Yeah, I'm just throwing ideas out there, right? I'm like
Right.
a Tony Stark or an Elon Musk, just a total futurist on this.
Yeah.
So anyone that knows me knows I'm like a customer or customer service advocate. I'm really preaching about you need to treat the customer right, and you need to provide people with value. And at the end of the day, it's relationships that matter. So my book's going to be about marketing on the automation side, and then customer service on the human side. So I'm excited to write it. What's funny is I was camping over the weekend, and I was able to read almost like 3 books in the last week. And normally I use Audible, but I was reading a book, and my son says, "What are you reading?" I said, "A book." He said, "What kind of book?" I said, "A book on how to write a book." He's like, "Why would you want to do that?" I was like, "Well, because you can always do something better." So he's 6 years old. He didn't really understand that fully, but I think at the end of the day, he did understand that. And Lori sent me a great article in a webinar link to provide me information, because I'm going to try dictating now too. because I do have an hour ride back and forth to the office, so I'm going to try to do some dictation for the book
Mhm.
as well and move forward with it. And I know you guys are writing the book, so that's
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah.
And
Tell us
a
about
book
that.
and an audio book.
Sweet.
Corey, I mean, I'll let you start if you want. I think we might also have to push back our date by about like a week and a half.
Yeah,
for
just
when
he's
we're-
going on vacation. But so the book is 10 steps to start. It's 10 steps to starting a podcast. Kind of just give you the breakdown. Our number one reason is you have to find your why to writing a podcast. Most people do things just for money, and
Lori's shaking her head. That's one of her catchphrases.
Did we steal that from you?
Ooh.
Wait, hold on. Let's edit that out.
In this room, we all share.
We all
share.
share.
Did we share that from you aggressively?
I feel royalties coming in places.
Yeah. Well, we're not making any money yet, so maybe we could just pay you in hugs or something like that.
We could do lunch. Dinner.
Lunch, okay.
Yeah.
Corey will buy you lunch for
Going
sure.
back to eating
Dollar
again.
menu.
McDonald's it is.
Dollar menu air.
But no, the book is just kind of our experiences, kind of what we've been through. We 6 months in, we didn't make a dime, but we still just love to get out the office, come set up a podcast, and just cast our cares on the microphones and
Get to talk to amazing guests.
yeah, like you guys. So get to network, meet a lot of interesting people, people that are kind of in the field that we want to be in. So it's an amazing experience, and it'll all be in the book.
I'll throw this out there to see what you two think. So there's a couple different titles we've been messing with. One of those is Anyone Can Podcast, which I feel like is pretty inclusive. The other one is Bend, Break, Hack, podcasting without permission.
Ooh.
So whereas one of them is very inclusive, the other one kind of has this like kind of.
Yeah, it's kind of bending the rules, and yeah.
We just tell us because our tagline is Bend, Break, Hack.
So I like the best about your stories.
All right.
And within there, they'll learn that anybody can really podcast as long as they know their why,
Exactly.
which helps them go to their goal
Mm-hmm.
of getting out whatever they need.
Okay. Hank, what do you think?
I like the second one as well. It's
Okay.
kind of it has a little bit of a mystique to it. It makes you want to at least read the forward or the back cover and learn what it's about. Whereas the first one is, okay, it's a book about podcasting. How's it different from all the other books that are out there?
Mhm.
So I think the second one is a little more appealing. It really comes down to the title, and then a good subtitle, and don't forget that you guys can always put it on pre-order even before you have all your content out there.
Right.
That's a tip I'd learned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which one do you like better, Cor?
I'm thinking I'm liking the second one now. I think
Because their reaction to it.
Well, no,
right?
when you say
Me too.
without permissions, that's kind of what we put in the book. Is you can do it. You don't have to have anyone's permission. You could just set up shop and do what you want to do.
Mhm.
I think without permissions definitely kind of says what we're doing.
Mhm.
So
So here's a book question or an ebook question, right? We were looking at formats. I know you've published before. I noticed when I read Kindle, things like very scalable. Like it might look like a normal book page, or if I need it bigger, it can be. Whereas if we export to PDF, I think it's just going to be one big
Right.
sheet that people can zoom in and out of. Where I prefer it to be more of the smoother book format. Do you know anything about that? And also, apologies to anybody out there that is bored to tears by this. After this, we're going to start talking about what Hank and Lori have been working on together.
Well, I think this is all good information,
I
and
agree.
everyone that's starting a business at some point will have a story to tell. Therefore, they probably should or would want to write a book. So it is good information. When it comes to formats, I think you need to be in a bunch of different formats because there's going to be opportunities for you to promote and share it just on social media before you want to sell it, right? Possibly, or teasers. So that'd probably be more beneficial to have the PDF version. Whereas the Create Space is actually for the physical book, but I forgot what the other one's called. KDL, I think it is, the Kindle Direct, Kindle Direct Publishing, where they'll put it into the scalable format. And I believe that there's another tool that'll actually put it out on a bunch of different publication sites for you. So I think having it in multiple different versions is going to be important. Now, if you're using an editor and a publisher, et cetera, they might want more control over that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're publishing on your own, you can have it in any type of format you want.
This is massively helpful. Thank you.
So going back to what we do together, we, as I call him my business buddy,
Mm-hmm.
we are always like, okay, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So between his book, his Alexa tips, we're always bouncing off ideas. And so that's what we do as well, not
Yeah.
just the webinars, but we really are.
The power is not in the person, is through the people behind them. I've learned that. So I'm very grateful to have some great friends. And you guys being someone that I've become acquainted with, I think it's helping me greatly, as well as Lori. Lori's been great to bounce ideas off of, and right now it's like I'm okay with being busy and being unproductive, and when I do need to be productive, Lori will be there for me.
That's funny.
It's the swift kick in the pants.
Yeah, no, I think it's really, you guys have, I've noticed, been like accountability partners for each other on
Yes.
different things. You've supported each other. Hank, I recall you switching from a company name to your own LLC, Hank Hoffmeyer, and that was based on some of, I think, Lori's advice and some research that you had done. And I think it's awesome the way that you guys work together and support each other. And we are appreciative. I don't want to speak for Corey. I know you are, man. I don't know. Corey and I feel we're appreciative of you guys to take the time out to interview with us and occasionally provide a little bit of mentorship. So thank you for that.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I love Hank's greater than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with people that are greater than yourself that you can really work with and move up the scale with.
Yeah. Hashtag GTY.
That's right. I love it. I talk about it when I'm speaking because I think that if, as a society or as business owners or entrepreneurs, we help each other out, I think that there's a lot of opportunity for everyone to flourish and grow. There's enough business out there, and you've mentioned it in some of your episodes. There's always room to have different types of people in different industries. People do things differently. I own a landscaping company, which I know I've mentioned on the first episode I was on. There's some guys now that are trying to become like the Uber of landscaping, and it was interesting to listen to that episode on the side hustle school. So it's interesting to see how people are becoming innovative with disrupting business in general or their lives, right? And doing what they want to do and doing what they love. So I enjoy being on here, and I enjoy building networks, but I don't want to create my network so big that I can't actually curate it and nurture it. I wrote an article about that. It's on my blog, and I shared it on LinkedIn. Just look for me at Hank Hoffmeyer on any channel, and you'll find me. You can Google me, and I take up the first 2 pages, so definitely check that out. Nobody has my name, so that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I wrote about
Jason Junos either.
Yeah, that's so you have to capitalize on that.
I found one, remember?
Oh well, there's a guy. He's a bassist in like Boston, and he was a bassist and he broke his hand or something like that.
I found one on Instagram because I thought it was you, and it wasn't
It
you.
was a different Jason Juno. Well, there's also a fake Jason Juno Twitter account.
No, not that one.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta look into that. I don't mean to distract from you, but it wouldn't be Triangle Cast if I didn't start telling some story about myself, right? So I found the other Jason Juno.
Here's your show.
So I had this is a stupid story. So I found the other Jason Juno when I was in college, and I was on AOL Instant Messenger at the time, and I was legit on AOL like dial-up connection, and I had found his screen name, and I'd started messaging him, but I was logged in as my girlfriend, and she had like a feminine Aubrey Gal, 1984 or something like that, right? I don't remember exactly what it was, but so like this feminine screen name, and I start typing to him like, hey, I'm Jason Juno also, and it comes up in pink, and then he's like writing back to me like, what is this? What is this? And I'm like, no, literally, like my name is. This is before you could really Google anybody, right? And so yeah, me and that guy never got along, and I'm still convinced that he's gonna try to steal my life at some point. Like he's
You
gonna
should
like
reach
show
out
up
on
at my
LinkedIn
door.
and just like, remember when AOL?
Yeah, I feel like one of us though, like there's two of us right now, and if one of us defeats the other one, he gets all the power.
Yeah.
So I can't let that happen.
No.
It's like Highlander.
So is there like a land grab going on for like all the Jason Juneau
Oh, I'm all
channels and
over it,
everything?
man. I am all over it.
Do you hear about Mastodon, which is like supposedly the next Twitter killer?
No.
So you might want to sign up on there and get that username. So.
Okay. I think I have Jason Juneau on Twitter, and then I have anyway.
Yeah, I told Jason it's time to brand itself.
Yeah. And then so I went out and I got branded. No. Sorry. I'm a dad.
You're at-
now.
so
I
you're at the
dad
watch.
jokes.
Came up, told you were stressed, so you went and grabbed a big meal, then got a tattoo.
And then get attacked. That's right. Yeah. It's going to be like that at some point, isn't it? It's like, wouldn't a Big Mac make you feel better right now? It's just going to ping your, yeah.
Rough day. Don't you want a Big Mac?
Yeah.
Well, actually, how did they know I had a bad day?
Yeah. How do they know I get my gratification through food?
Maybe it's because I complain on Facebook all day.
There you go. That's where they find you at.
But I interrupted you.
No, just to kind of sum up about networking, what's interesting is I know I didn't speak to Matthew Roy since we had lunch. So I reached out and he said he was actually having coffee with you the next day.
Yeah.
That didn't work out, but we ended up having lunch last week.
Awesome.
I felt like I capitalized on the conversation, so I need to meet up with him again to let him talk some more because I want to hear more about what he's got going on. Because really, last time we got together was talking about marketing, whereas this time I wanted to talk about speaking, which we did, and it was awesome. So I definitely want to start talking about speaking more, just so that's more in my mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So, I definitely want to just do more of and become better at speaking in general, whether it is at a conference or to clients or on a podcast.
Yeah, he's brilliant. I'm glad I could connect you guys. I saw him speak at a marketing conference, and he was really talking about the concept of smarketing, or how sales and marketing are coming together, and that really resonated for me.
And we are still on Facebook Live, so if anybody out there has any questions, please let us know. We'll definitely answer them.
Yes. So what are you two currently working on together? What's the deal with this webinar? I've seen pictures where I think Hank's publishing it, but Lori's on like Skype, and that was an awesome picture, by the way, of the both of you. I
Yeah?
think it's it's
That was a
like,
spur of the
it
moment.
was like you're taking
He's
a
like,
selfie.
look at that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you're taking a selfie, and then your computer screen has Lori on it, and like Lori's smiling for your selfie. I'll have to put the picture in the show notes, but that was really awesome. So what are you guys working on?
Lauren, you want to tell?
So I guess everything's out now, right?
Yeah. Well, so if you want to know about it firsthand, sign up for an Eye Contact account. This way you get the Eye Contact newsletter. It'll be announced in the next newsletter. I don't know the date offhand, but I was told by marketing it'll be in the next newsletter. So if you don't have an Eye Contact account, go get one.
So they can just sign up on eyecontact.com.
Yes. Or we'll be promoting it on social media too.
So you'll
and I
find
know
it.
it's on my Facebook right now. Just scroll down a little bit. The links are there. It's on my Twitter and LinkedIn. And where else are we?
Twitter, LinkedIn,
Instagram.
Facebook, Instagram.
Facebook. Yeah. So everywhere. It's everywhere. But
We should have paused before we said Instagram.
Yeah.
I could have let Corey do it.
it's the essentials of productivity for small business owners. How to rock out your business while being productive.
The essentials of productivity for small business owners.
Yes.
And then, so let me think here. So is that a collaboration between Hank and Lori, or Lori and Eye Contact, or a little bit of everything?
All three of us probably. It's for Eye Contact, and Lori's basically the thought leader in that space. Whereas I'm going to be moderator / also I'm going to I guess I can give some tips on business, etc. But also just flourish out the ideas that Lori has and talk to her, and I might have some questions for her as well. So if you're a small business owner or you're looking to get into business, this is going to be a great webinar. Even if you've been in business for a little while, you'll definitely get some tips on how to be more productive. And we definitely want to encourage people to listen and participate. And if you can't be there on that date, we do have recordings that go out, so definitely sign up and check it out. It shouldn't be that long, maybe about 40-45 minutes
about that
probably.
much.
Yeah.
Because we know people's attention spans are quite small these days, and they have a lot going on. So Lori's going to rock it out, and I'm there to support her.
That's really cool.
So how did this come about?
You want to say it?
I'm
Lori said, let's do a webinar together. That's really how it happened.
like, so let's do this, and this, because I do webinars. I collaborate with other entrepreneurs, and he was on another webinar that I had. I said, hey, by the way, we need to do one. And he's like, okay, let's do this. And that's what we did. We said, all right, let's set this up, let's get this rolling, and what kind of information are we going to bring to everybody? And we just said, let's do it, and it went out.
And iContact loves to support small and mid-sized businesses, so I thought it was a great idea to approach the marketing team and say, is this something that we can do with iContact, because that will allow us to get that message out to that many more people that are just getting into business or wanting to start a business. So I think it's a good trifecta. It has, you know, two great people facilitating the webinar, and then it has iContact as a mechanism for people to put out newsletters and become successful using email marketing. So
I think it's so important too that you are both entrepreneurs, and even your background with the landscaping side of things, because a lot of companies need help with email marketing and automation, but there's a lot out there that they're losing a competitive edge and they don't even know it because they're not embracing technology. So your other landscapers or plumbers, electricians, various other places where, you know, you go to Google them to try to find out how to get in touch with them or what the reviews are, and you find out they have no online presence.
Right.
They've got no means of keeping their clients engaged.
did I tell you about the interview I did with someone I know that owns a tree service? I don't know if I ever mentioned that on the podcast. So one of my ex-neighbors that lives in my old neighborhood owns a tree service, and they really have not embraced digital marketing. And I built a website for them, and then went over to show my friend how to use it, and she was asking me some questions, and I said, this is a great opportunity to really get the message out about moving into digital marketing and having your brand out there. And I had my microphone with me, so I said, can I record? And I set it up, and it came out awesome. I just think just the way it flowed, and then the audio quality was really good. It's on my blog, but basically she says that, you know, they really relied on the Yellow Pages up until pretty recent, and word of mouth advertising. And she said, if we don't move into the digital realm, we'll be irrelevant. And it was that statement right there that I just said, that everybody has to hear that. She knew she had to change. She knew she had to do some new things. She wants to start blogging, even though she might not know how to or want to, but she knows it's something that she needs to do for the business. So she even mentioned that, you know, I want to embrace blogging to grow our business. So if anyone listens to that and they don't become motivated, I'd be surprised if they own a small business and they're not doing marketing.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if they did not become empowered to do more.
I'm probably like a lot of other people in that we get the Yellow Pages and it gets left at the end of our driveway, and I walk it over the recycling bucket and I toss it in there. There's just not, other than kindling, I don't really know.
Yeah. I mean, Yellow Pages is gone digital, but I mean, I'm not sure.
Right.
But,
Right.
you know,
But everybody goes to Google,
Right.
or and then they look at your brand and your reputation. Now, another thing for the future, and I should put this in my book, is long tail keywords, right? Just think now everybody types right on a phone or on a computer, socks or whatever you're looking for. That is all they type. Whereas when you have a digital assistant like Siri or Google Home, you're going to start using more long tail keywords.
Mm-hmm.
Where can I find socks where can I find New York Yankees socks, right? So it's New York Yankees socks. So that's a long tail keyword. Number one, it's going to be cheaper on pay-per-click, but it also allows you to beat some of the larger competitors out there. So that's one of my tips coming up. That's a prelude to one of my marketing business tips, but that's definitely something that you need to do, is watch what's going on, not necessarily go all in on a new digital channel or something, but try it out and see if you get some traction.
So I do have a question. So, like my mom, she owns a taxi company, and she doesn't really have time to market because she's in the cab driving all day. How do you, let somebody know the importance of marketing, automating, and, just setting aside time to get your name out?
Wow. So
It sounds like you've tried also.
Oh yeah, I've tried.
Well, one thing is scheduling posts, right? So if she's looking to do it on her own, schedule the posts, right? Ahead of time, those are generic posts. Being in a cab, oh my God, you have a phone, right? all these Ubers and Lyft people, they have the little cradles for their phones. And sometimes you have like 8 phones going on, one with GPS, one with music, one, so many different things. Set up cameras in the car or use your phone and record yourself, when you're in between fares, or say, do you mind being on camera? No, and just say, hey, how's your day going? And say, these are the types of engagements I have with my passengers. Get that human branding out there. I don't have time, or is that a lie? That's what it comes down to.
Right.
So
And, yeah.
There you go. All right, Lori, let's hear it.
and we talked about this. I don't even know if we were recording at the time, but I have a slightly different philosophy,
Yeah.
and mine is do what you do best, delegate the rest.
All right.
So yes,
I was going to mention that too, but I knew she'd probably different.
if I was your mom, I'd be focused on what I do best, and that's driving that cab. And that's cool. She can totally do that.
All right.
But pair up with someone like a VA, a college kid, whoever.
Your son.
Yeah.
Your son.
Yeah. Corey's got like 3 jobs already. So.
No, but just partner with someone that knows her to get her out there more. And it's also about what she's comfortable with and what kind of platform she can do
Right.
without feeling overwhelmed. So yeah, if she could do Facebook Live and you want to teach her how to do that, that's one of the easiest ones. You just go,
The key phrase that Lori said was someone that knows her well.
Yes.
Because you can go to
Yes.
Fiverr and you can get posts, etc., but that's going to make you
No.
come across as robotic.
Right.
So getting someone that's going to get to know the business and provide that human branding is crucial.
so definitely do what you do best, delegate the rest, but when you do delegate, make sure that person knows you inside out and can really help you come across as the real you. So
I'm gonna make sure she listens to this episode.
Well, I mean, really to hack it too. I know you've got some young folks in your family
Yeah.
too
Right.
that
Yeah.
might be already on social media, and maybe they could help her out, and maybe they'll get some free rides when they need it, or they'll get some extra cookies or something.
And I think if she's a grandma.
Yeah.
So I think it would be really cool to be like Granny on the taxi,
Yeah.
Right. And if she starts developing a Facebook audience and people ask
Yeah.
questions, use the Facebook bots that are basically answers to questions that are already there. That's something you can set up for her.
Okay.
But branding her as the Granny Taxi would be key.
It's interesting.
Is her last name also Jeffries?
Yep.
So it could be Granny Jeffries Taxi Service.
Yeah.
That sounds like legit.
And
man.
what would be her angle? Like, why would she be different than everyone else? Like, are you
Because
taxi?
she's safe. She's a
Uber?
granny.
Oh,
Well, yeah, but what's the tagline, right? That's what it comes down to. Is like, when you get in a car with me, you're going to feel safe, and we're going to have great discussion or something.
Warm
Let's talk about
cookies.
apple pie. You know?
warm cookies in the car.
Yeah, something about feeling at
You
home
know,
with Granny.
Otis Spunkmeyer ovens and cook cookies right there on the spot.
Right.
Thank you for using my cab service. Here's a cookie.
I'm
Fresh.
That's the Granny Jeffries difference.
That is.
Yeah. There you go.
Huh. Oh man, I had so many different questions for you guys, and there was one that just
It'll come
disappeared.
back.
It'll come
Yeah,
back.
hopefully it'll come back.
Maybe in
We're
episode
enclosed
30
here.
or
It'll
something.
come-
Yeah, that's not a really great podcast host to sit there and be like, I was going to ask you a great question. It was going to blow your mind.
Well, I know you normally have an outline, and you want to go through the outline, make sure you cover everything. But I think this one's kind of more spontaneous. And,
Yeah.
and
The
it's
outline's
pretty
me. Jason's creative.
Yeah, Corey's always the outline guy. That is legit 100%. I was like, we'll just get on there. We'll talk about some stuff. People will eat it up. They'll like it. And Corey's like, yeah, we need to figure out what order these subjects are going to go in, or else we're going to have a whole podcast of you talking about it. So I think that's a win for the partnership that we have.
Yes.
It is. So can you guys give us anything else about the webinar?
Yeah, any kind of
Um,
topics or a little
behind
bit
the
of an outline?
scenes.
So, for me, I'm trying to let entrepreneurs know that it's not just about running the business. There's a lot about your perception of how you see yourself on a daily basis. Can I give a little bit out?
Yeah,
A little bit. Mindset, really knowing how to every day put those boots on. And there's going to be times when you're not in the mood. You don't want to get up and do it. But knowing your why and staying really focused on why you are running your business and really digging deep, understanding the goal, how to get to the goal, and to know that every day is going to be a little bit different, but it's definitely attainable.
I like it. I like it. And I also just remembered what I was going to mention.
See?
Okay,
There you go.
So we have talked on both the times that Hank's come on, we've talked about the mysterious place known as Soxapaha, North Carolina, and how they have a five-star a five-star gas station and just some other. So I had a chance to go out there. I was at the Switchpoint conference,
Right.
which if you guys have never been, it's very interesting. I can't say that I specifically loved it or enjoyed it, but it was very interesting. And that's just about using innovation to help the world. So sometimes it was people using drones to find water in arid areas and then inform other people. Sometimes it's about prosthetics for kids that can't afford them. All kinds of neat stuff. So anyway, that was held in Soxapaha.
At the ballroom, right?
Yes, at the Soxapaha Ballroom, which itself was uber charming. You walk in, there's a sarcophagus underneath the main walkway. Did you ever notice that?
Mm-hmm.
Which I took me until the second day near the end. I was just kind of walking, talking on the phone, and then I looked down. I was like, "What is that?"
Well, it used to be a textile mill, so I believe that's where either water or dyes used to run off down into that channel. So.
Interesting.
And it's the Haw River Ballroom. They have a lot of concerts out there, sometimes some well-known bands.
Mhm.
So it's a pretty cool place. What did you get at the general store?
I ended up getting a green tea, some green tea I'd never heard of. It had a bunch of stuff floating in it, so it looked really legit. And but I was actually cursing myself that I couldn't. I was cursing myself that I couldn't. I wasn't hungry for a sandwich, and there wasn't really anything else that I wanted to get there. But it was really the nicest gas station I've ever been to on the inside. Can people have open container in Soxapaha? Because there was people just drinking beer.
So I think supposedly no, but
Okay.
then there's the area, on Saturdays or during events, there's people that walk around with stuff and nobody bothers them. Coming up, I think it's in a couple of weeks, Saturdays in Saxapaha, so it's every Saturday in the summer. You can come out with friends, family, children. Across the street, there's a hill area. Food trucks come out, local food vendors, local organic food, arts retailers come out, and there's children's activities, there's wine, you can bring beer over, they have music, and everybody sets up either lawn chairs or blankets up on the hill and just has a good time dancing, bubbles for the kids, or slip and slide. It's really awesome. Then there's the Eddie Pub, which is on the other end of the gas station that has some great food. You have to come back for the food, so you have not tried it, but you have to come back because it's really good. And then there is the Haw River Farmhouse Ales, which is the local brewery.
Okay.
So they have a sign when you're walking out with your alcohol, no alcohol beyond this point, because they do not own it. So theoretically, you probably can't, but who's going to stop a horde of people with open beer?
Yeah. There was a bar called the Kraken.
Yes.
Have you been there?
That's on 54.
So
Yes.
you have been to Soxapaha.
Oh, of course.
I never knew this place existed until Hank brought it up, and then it was just fate that brought me there a few weeks later.
The Kraken is a very interesting, unique bar.
Okay.
Have you ever
I haven't
been?
been in there. I pass it every day.
Yeah, it's old school bar, wood paneling. It's really cool.
It looked like it really. I mean, it didn't look much bigger than this conference room that we're recording in right now. Really.
It's about a hair bigger.
Yeah.
But I actually heard a band there and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun.
That's just. It really seems like a hip kind of place, and I'm like I could live here.
There's a man out there, Mike Holland, who does a lot of stuff for the community, and he has a bunch of these kayaks and canoes that he keeps on his property. They were part of some kind of a project to help clean up the river. They didn't need them back, so he has them, and he provides them for free if you want to come pick one up and borrow it. We actually borrowed one on one weekend, a kayak and a canoe, and went out onto the little lake that's right there on the river and had some fun. So there's a lot to do in Saxapaha. People don't realize it, but it's either you have that or you have to go 12 miles to get to anything decent.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just neat. It's this kind of more rural area, and it's not all that far from here. And I'm sure the cost of living is a bit lower out there, so you can get a lot more.
Right.
So I mean, and you've got this amazing space to live in and raise your family and all that.
But now there's this gentleman that has worked with Disney and some other theme park companies, and he's developed some of the theme parks or parts of the theme parks for Disney. He wants to build a theme park right there in Saxapaha called the Whirligigs or something like that. Whirligig Acres or something. On its face, it looks good, but I'd love to see what kind of community impact it has before it's built. And I think that's what they're doing now, is having some discussions with some of the locals and the community members to find out what that means. Because it could be good or bad depending on what's exactly going to happen. But we may have a theme park in Saxville.
That's
Kind of like Wally World.
the world. So for Corey, have you ever seen what is it? What do they call it? It's not the Hendersons, because that was Harry and the Hendersons. Who are it's the Griswolds?
Yes.
National Lampoon's Vacation.
No,
See, I gotta check myself. You gotta understand, Corey's like 26, 27 now, or
27.
27 now, right? So I'll make references sometime. I'll be like, blah, 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 Goonies. Blah, 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 E.T. And then I'm looking at him like, you never watched those when you were a kid, did you? He says, nope. So,
Sorry, that was a
Yeah.
showing our age comment.
Oh.
Wally World.
Wally World. So there was a movie called National Lampoon's Vacation where this family, they take this trip to this place called Wally World and ends up being closed. And I
Cross-country trip.
I summarized the whole thing, but it's worth checking out, Corey.
I need a list of all of the
All the movies?
Yes, and I can just binge for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With all your downtime.
Yeah.
When you're not working or proposing
Sorry.
or working on your bounce house business.
Well, circling back to AOL that you were talking about earlier, I'm actually going to be using that in my presentation next week, talking about AOL, and that was a preferred place to check your email and have that dial-up sound, and
Yeah.
move on to modern email marketing.
Yeah, I will. There are still senior citizens that they cannot let go of that AOL account, even though they now have like broadband or DSL in their home.
I still have one. I'm in the email marketing
Are you
world,
paying
so
for
I have to. No, it's free, but I use it because I need to check what's going on with it for our customers.
Okay, nice, nice.
So in our book, I'm writing about people getting their listeners or followers from their Facebook pages, from social media, and making sure they put them in the email list.
Right.
Would you guys care to detail why that's so important for our listeners?
Well, it probably should be the other way around. I don't know if you have these tips first.
Go ahead and then I'll bounce off you.
So what you can do, I think people sign up on certain social or digital channels because that's their method of consumption in some aspect. When you start to violate that trust, you may have some issues. So you definitely want to get consent of, hey, can I email you, right? So the landing page, I noticed you guys had that for your ebook.
We know how to find.
Contact as well, so I thought I'd reprimand you on that.
You could tell from the outside, huh?
Yes, and from the code if you needed to look at it.
Okay.
So what I would do is take your email list and then grow your email list by driving people to a landing page, which is like what you guys had, brilliant, right? Grow it that way. Then take your email list, and what you can do is upload it to, say, Facebook, and they'll match that email address and see if they have it in their database. They won't let you know who it is because it's hashed.
Right.
Then you can serve ads to them.
Okay.
So that's a little bit better because people are used to getting those ads, and they're not going to kick and scream because you served them an ad. And also, if somebody goes to your book page, you can serve them a specific ad about, hey, what did you think of the book, or whatever, in a poll, that's in an ad format. So, yeah, you can drive people from social to sign up, but make sure you're getting that consent. Make sure you have a landing page with a sign-up form saying, we want to email you, and this is how often we usually email, etc.
Okay.
So, being someone that does use eye contact,
If it's money, maybe we can figure something out there.
Well, we would love to promote eye contact further on our page. So, yeah.
But for me, it is about email generation first and then leading them to Facebook. And I do different things on Facebook than I do on my email stuff.
Right.
I do Facebook Lives, but they're 1-minute shots where I go more in depth in my newsletter on how to be productive. I give extra tips, bonuses, stuff like that. But with the entire list, it is organic. And as a person, I feel much better about putting out the content because it is organic. My unsubscribes are really low. My opens are high because know, like, and trust. They gave me the permission. They know me. They like me, so they're going to trust me that I'm going to bring them valuable information. And it just feels good to me as an entrepreneur.
So I guess coming from a standpoint of when you look at platforms that have maybe failed, but you got a lot of followers from there. So I don't foresee this happening anytime soon. But let's say you have a bunch of followers on Facebook, and let's just say Facebook goes down and you lose all of those followers. So it's as important to have them on Facebook as it is to have them in your email list as well. Is that
You'd want to have them in as many channels as possible, but let them make that choice.
Okay.
Or try to coax them using that emotional appeal or something like that. Another thing to note is, and Lori may have heard this from me in the past, I don't know, but it's a good tip, is, Gmail, Yahoo, they have spam filters. And for some reason or another, some of your emails may go to spam, and it's not because you're a bad sender, but it's because the way similar type of subscribers have behaved in the past.
Right.
They have so many fancy algorithms, right? So what you might want to do is every now and then say, hey, my newest newsletter is out, and post that on Facebook, Twitter, etc. Please look for it, because psychologically what will happen is they'll go to their inbox and they'll see it's not there. Most people know to go to their spam folder and look for it, and if they pull it out of spam, that actually helps you. It shows a signal to the email provider that you want to receive that email.
right?
So it's a great tip.
And that's what I do. So even though I'm putting out an email, I link into my Facebook and my LinkedIn.
Okay.
So it's always out on many different platforms.
Okay. So
And going back to your question about, oh God, what happens if you lose all your Facebook? There's Instagram. Hey, Facebook just went out.
Okay, so
Make
to
sure-
remedy that, it's best to have them across a bunch of different
People
platforms.
usually migrate, and most times these companies are not going to go out of business. Facebook is not
Well,
going
yeah.
out of business.
Right,
but
right.
it may become less popular, but they're going to move somewhere, right? Where I think shift was to Snapchat for a while.
Right.
But now Instagram added stories, so now they're starting to pull people back away
Right.
from Snapchat. So that was interesting, right? So Facebook bought Instagram to pull people away from Snapchat. That's brilliant, by the way.
Very strategic move there.
I'd say I couldn't figure out originally why people would need Instagram after Facebook owned it when they could be doing the same thing with Facebook, but it
But they're
makes
two
more
different,
sense
two
in that
different
context.
platforms.
So there's maybe two things I wanted to bring up really quick. One of them is I just jotted down know, like, trust.
Yes.
I think so. This is going to be a two-part episode. We're going to divide this in half. One of the titles has to be know, like, trust. I really, really appreciate you throwing it in there. So this is
Sharing
maybe
again.
Yeah.
yeah, sharing.
I see many Big Macs in my life.
It's another
Many
different-
Big Macs.
Dollar menus.
Dollar menu air.
Yeah.
Court, you gotta buy Lori some burgers, man.
Well,
We'll see what we can do.
You might have to step up to the $3 menu.
Maybe we'll just order nice like Arby's or Hardee's instead.
actually, I love Cookout.
There's no shame in loving cookout.
That's really good.
So
That was my cheat meal of the weekend, by the way.
So there is, maybe this is a different spin on Corey's question, right? Or maybe an addendum too. So I see the value on our side for the email list. As a consumer, that stuff drives me nuts. Like when I'm on the internet, I just want content. I'm logging in, I'm getting content, I'm getting it most of the time for free. Granted, I'm giving up my data and personal information and soul, but I'm getting content. So then when I have to input my email address, choose a password, then something comes to my inbox, now I've got to authorize it, then I go back here and I actually log it and all that other stuff. It drives me nuts. And I know people will do that if they appreciate the content or they want the content bad enough. But I don't really know what the question is. I guess that's what makes me a bad entrepreneur is I look at that and I'm like, I don't like that.
So I guess your question is how to make that process a lot more easier. Is that
Right.
Maybe it's how to make it easier. Maybe I guess is that the only way? Is that the only way, or is there some other way, or in the future will there be some other way, or
Other way of what? I'm trying to
I
get
guess
this
maybe
just to the
keeping
question.
people like we the goal of the email subscription list is to get people involved
Right.
that are fans, so that we can push content out to them, so that they can enjoy it, and then they stay up to date.
So I'm going to interject here because
Okay.
this literally just happened with us.
Okay.
So I follow the Middle Finger Project.
It's the Middle Finger Project?
Yes, look her up. She's awesome.
Okay.
Total, can I say ASS on here?
It's a family friendly podcast.
Total badass, and I got hooked on her from my friend Suzanne, and I was like, Hank, check this out, and I forwarded her email that she sends. It's just a great little content, and you know, she's everywhere else, but I enjoy getting her emails because it's just funny titles, and you know, so yes, but the other part of the emails is everybody shares that. It's
Yeah.
just something really fast, easy, like
Forward it along.
boom, forward.
Yeah.
So that's how I see as an entrepreneur getting spread out, because when I look at my analytics, by the way, that's one thing we talk about in our webinar, is really looking at your analytics and seeing what's happening with your newsletters, whatever you're doing. I see how many people open, how many shares, where they're reading it. So that's really important to me, so that I can put more content out and really understand what my audience wants.
So here's a wake-up call.
And I was
Right.
expecting this, by the way. I knew I was going to get some tough love.
Now, I want to tell this story because I don't practice what I preach, right? And if you could turn motivation into discipline, that's where you're going to be successful. Or if you could do a little bit of it, right? So as podcasters, or what you guys are trying to teach everyone, what makes you different? What makes you unique? Insert whatever term you want in here. What is your FOMO? What is your what's in it for them? What is your value, right? Any of those terms work here. When you send out something, are you giving them what people want, or are you putting your blinders on, which I do at times, and put out what you feel like they want? Or this is what I'm going to be on a podcast today, so I'm going to take a cute picture of me in a common area, which I did this morning, and I'm going to push it out to people. Does that provide value to people? No, it just shows them I look good and I'm going to be on a podcast, right? So maybe I shouldn't have done that. I don't know. But I'm trying to brand myself as well. I'm trying to put pictures of me speaking or being enthusiastic about speaking. So theoretically, there is an end game to that.
You're creating a body of
Right.
work, a body of
So
content.
she mentioned the Middle Finger Project, which is great. If you're in a tech arena or you love technology, sign up for Kevin Rose's newsletter. He's a technologist. He started out doing some TV shows about technology. Now he's a venture capitalist, worked for Google for a while. But once a month, he sends out an email of like, hey, here's some great articles I found. Here's what I'm drinking right now. And here's my thoughts of this. Here's some other articles you might want to read. Like, and it's really an accumulation of some great stuff that makes you want to read that. Should he send it out weekly? Should he send it out daily? Probably not. So you guys need to figure out, or any podcaster or any business needs to figure out, what is your cadence and what is your material, right? Because together, that's your success. Don't just say, hey, episode 21 is available. It's Lori and Hank talking about marketing and productivity. Here's a link, right? I can just say, well, I'm used to going to iTunes and downloading it, or it comes automatically to my phone. Why would I want to read that? Here's the episode. Here's what it's about. Here's some of the behind the scenes, or this ties into this great other article here, or something. Give them some more value.
So to tie in regarding that blinder stuff and putting out what you want to put out, I've heard this multiple times through different people that I've been around, and it's go where you're wanted, not where you're needed.
Awesome.
Go where you're wanted, not where you're needed. And that's the mentality of giving people what they want. They might need tips on productivity, but they don't want it.
Can I go further and say, try
Yeah.
to change that want into a need?
Yes.
Because somebody may need a book on how to create a podcast, right? But what they're going to do is they're going to look at your book, they're going to look at other books, and they'll look at a whole bunch of different things. Maybe I should just learn on YouTube. But they look at it and they start reading it, and then they say, you know what? I want to do this, and I want to learn how. Therefore, it's not a need anymore, right? Does that make sense? You got to create that want.
Yeah.
I like that.
So,
I'm gonna share that.
see, we share.
Very nice. Very nice.
I am going to be fed for years right now.
So many Big Macs. So many
Hope
Big
you have a
Macs.
treadmill.
No, but and as an entrepreneur, that's really hard because you're like, I got this.
Yeah.
I want to put this content out.
Right.
Who cares if they don't want it?
Yeah.
you know?
And the last thing is doing things last minute, because you're never creative when you do it last minute.
Right.
Whether it's planning, right? Planning your day,
Yeah.
planning anything, or saying, hey, I'm going to put this out on social media. It's just quick. It's like a picture of a cat, or hey, how's everybody doing today?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if you look at the end of every single blog post, what's there?
Links to other
Question.
Comment. So people can comment.
Let me know about how this, or hey, when's the last time you thought about starting a podcast, right?
Okay.
Everybody does that. So how do you make it so that it's engaging? I think in one of my most recent articles, the one about networking, I put a little bit of a different spin. I'm not going to give it away because I want you to look at it, but it's a little bit of a different spin.
Not sharing.
So
Not sharing.
Can we get the mics? Can we get it?
So we are actually past the hour mark, and I know Lori has a hard stop, and Corey and I have to get back to work.
So this is part one, right?
Well, this is actually, oh my gosh, could you imagine? Could you imagine? There's, several other questions I could ask you guys, but maybe we can do a, round two for
Yeah.
this,
Definitely.
sometime.
So there'll be 4 episodes total. Right?
There'll be 4 episodes. Well, actually, and then if you use their individual episodes, then you're talking about 3 each.
Man.
I'm going to have to ask to be on the board soon.
On the board of Triangle Cast, the third co-host of the Triangle. Wait, that would make so much more sense because there's 3
Right.
lines in a.
That's right.
Okay, and we'll talk. We'll talk.
Well,
But-
right now it's you, Corey, and your audience.
That's
Yes.
the triangle. So there's not room for
anybody
a
else.
third person. we can borrow or no share that. They shared that with us too, and now we can use that for some other stuff. This is great.
Here. All right.
Yeah. Thank you guys for honestly, some of this advice is priceless, and it's almost like I've never been so glad that we've recorded some of this because I get to go back now, and as I'm editing and then listening to it later, I get to remember that, oh wait, we talked about that, there's something we need to go forward on. One of the most important takeaways I'm thinking right now is, well, instead of just making it a book about podcasting, it's we can find that niche audience of people that maybe they kind of thought about it, like they're interested in the concept, but they don't think they can do it.
Right.
And then we point towards that niche
Right.
of people as opposed to just saying, here, this is for everybody. Or maybe it's a different niche, I don't know, we haven't published
Well, you
it yet.
show that. I'm not saying it's easy, but the barrier to entry is kind of low, right? You can explain what you need to buy, and just like Lori said, have your why. Just sit in front of a microphone, start talking and
Mhm.
recording. Put it out there. Your audience will tell you what you need to do and change.
What they want.
Yeah.
Go for what they want.
So obviously there's going to be links in the show notes to how people can find you, but for the folks that are just listening, how can they follow you?
Want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter as Lori Bruns LLC.
Okay, all one word.
All one word.
And
Yes.
Hank, I think the answer might be just Google Hank
Well,
Hoffmeyer.
Google
since
Hank
there's only one.
Hoffmeyer and sign and follow me on the social media platform of your choice, because I want to give you what you want.
Not what you
And
need.
also, don't forget to go to iContact.com. Some great information there as well in regards to marketing automation, email marketing, and almost anything related to marketing as well. I do write a lot of articles for iContact, so you can look at the blog there and learn about what we're doing. If you want to reach out to me to talk one-on-one personally or in a capacity with iContact as far as, hey, what does email marketing mean for me, I'd be glad to do it.
Can I also let people know that if they'd like to go on my website of loribruns.com, they could sign up for a business jumpstart, which is a free 30-minute session with me to jumpstart their business.
Very nice.
LoriBruns.com/jumpstart.
Very nice.
And
So-
also, where can people go to sign up for this secret webinar you guys are
Oh, yeah.
We have a link. I'll post it later on my social media channels, and Lori can either share that or she can post it herself.
Awesome. We'll
I
definitely
usually
share
share.
Costs a
We've
little bit.
noticed. We've noticed. So everybody, thank you again for tuning in. Thank you, Hank Hoffmeyer and Lori Bruns. I am Jason Juna,
I'm Corey Jeffries.
and we hope to see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
So what we'll do now is just a couple seconds of silence so that I can then edit out the ambient noise in the room. So. Awesome. Thank you guys.
That was so much fun.
That's an hour and 9 minutes.
Gosh, really?
Yeah. What time you needed to get somewhere by
Yeah, I have to
2?
be. Yeah.